So I wanted to wait to make this video, and I feel like now there's, how do I put this? Now's the last moment I have to talk about it, and it might be the most appropriate moment. So let's talk about it. So, a little while ago, there were some reveals for Marvel Legends. And you've already seen the thumbnail, you already know the title of the video. The Maximum Spider-Man was announced. This idea is to release basically the very best version of any said character. The best Spider-Man. This is the maximum one. It's going to come with all kinds of stuff. It's going to have all the bells and whistles, the max articulation, everything. This is the ideal thing. From what we understand, here's Spider-Man, and there's a very real possibility the next one is Hulk. Just a rumor right now, but who knows? And that would be fantastic for me, because I still need a Hulk. We talked about the gray Hulk, which is great, but I want a green Hulk. That would also be great. Well, the pre-orders are up for Maximum Spider-Man. And the fact that they're up, I found them, I was able to pre-order, and they're still up hours later, makes me feel like this is not selling like crazy. Or they know how big of a thing this is going to be, and they prepped for it. Well, no, I didn't actually cue the back. So let me cue that up, and we're going to go look at it. Here we are. Maximum Spider-Man. $50. Let's look at it first. Like, the body sculpt is fantastic. Personally, I see a mix here of like 90s McFarlane and Bagley. Like that's where my mind focuses on this design of Spider-Man. That's what I'm seeing here, personally. That's what I'm seeing. I like that it can hit this pose. It looks very photogenic. Looks like the legs and everything. We're going to have an upper thigh joint right here. There's going to be the ball socket right here. It looks like these legs have a lot of movement if we're able to pull off a hit like this. The butterfly joints allow his arms to crisscross. That's very good for a Spider-Man. We've, of course, got the double joint knees. Basically, they're pulling out the stops. All the articulation of everything that we have seen that's worked over the last couple years, this is what the Maximum line seems to be. Personally, we have the foot joint right here, which is not on every Spider-Man. That was on the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, and a lot of people loved it. And then, of course, the next couple Spider-Men we've seen didn't have it. They left that behind, and they immediately started using the first appearance body over and over and over again. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm saying that's what it is. We got these webs right here. Got a long web line and everything like that. A short webbing. This double neck joint is that's an absolute game changer, because it's going to allow for a ridiculous amount of movement, like a neck, like a neck. We got some straight up McFarlane and Bagley poses happening here. We got this effect right now, and I know that everybody's already looked at this. I need to put it in my mind what we're looking at here, and I knew I wanted this. I've already pre-ordered it, okay? So let's get that off the table before we go any further. I am on board, but then we're going to talk about it. I like this wrist thing here that we actually get the gloveless, so the glove is removed and we get to see the web shooter all the way up to the hand. That is a really cool effect, and it's something that I don't believe we've ever seen, especially in terms of the Marvel Legends, okay? We got web effects, so we got the reaching hand web effect here, and we get a stand that we can actually deploy said web effects. We have webs starting to come out of the wrist, and we got the web ball that's actually shooting, so he can shoot the projectile webs. That's solid. That's bad. On a personal level, that Peter Parker head is bad. Luckily, I imagine that this is still just enough the same as all the rest, because interchangeability is something that we see in this line all the time. I imagine that I will still be able to use this Peter Parker head, which is fantastic because the Renew Your Vows head is the Spider-Man for me, and so this is screaming for me. That's fine. If I could swap the head, then I don't care, but I really don't like that Peter Parker. We got I would argue the web shield could have been bigger. I wish the web shield would have been bigger, but we get a web shield, and that we have to say we get a web shield. That's cool, but I do wish it was bigger. Minor complaints, but I'm allowed to make minor complaints because we're going to be talking about a pretty big subject here. The posability is absolutely fantastic. I love that this is the Spider-Man that I specifically love. Like, this is it for me. For me, Spider-Man has to be fairly ripped, but still on the skinny side. He has to have the nice intricate webs, which I'm seeing here. I like Spider-Man to have the big eyes. I like Spider-Man to be of this build, and I like the big bug on the back. This is my Spider-Man. This is it. This is the reason I went for the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man when I had to pick a Spider-Man for the shelf. I'm liking everything that I'm seeing here. Looks like this web is nice and bendable and everything, and we can play with it. And of course, we get 2 web lines, we get a web ball, we get a spider sense, we get 2 forms of webs at the start, we get a reaching hand web, we get the web shield, we get 2 different heads, which is nice. We get an expression head, which let me see. I'm trying to think here, because we get an expressive head. We get the big eyes head. So it looks like smaller eyes is what I'm guessing is what this is. I don't know. And then we got the bigger eyes right here. And then we got the Peter Parker head that I'm not thrilled with. We got the 2 different Are they... Yeah, okay, so they're 2 separate hands. So we got one that's just starting to kind of do and one that is actually doing. That's fine. We have web shooting hands. 2 slightly different kinds of web shooting hands, which is nice. We have wall crawling hands. We have punching hands. Everything is accounted that you would think should be accounted. The packaging is very stylish. It's very much a new line, and it's very much trying to compete with all the import stuff. That looks very good. It's a nice open window, so if you're an inbox collector, you have a nice display of exactly what you bought. Packaging is very solid. I like the maximum look. Almost everything about this is absolutely solid. And all of this is at $50. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because that is the big question here. Is it worth it to get something like this? Or are you just wasting your money at $50 should you just go for the import? Couple things here. I know that a lot of people are saying at this point you should just hold your money and go for a Fig Arts. I get it. But I wouldn't. I know all of this is subjective. Let me just say that before we even get into this. What we are about to talk about is going to stir up the ideas of somebody's right and somebody's wrong and you're wasting money and blah, blah, blah. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. This is all subjective, and I'm going to explain why. I know a lot of people like Fig Arts. I've bought a lot of Fig Arts. I have a lot of experience. I've bought almost every single Sailor Moon Fig Art because I buy them for my wife, and then I specifically end up needing to pose them and put them on the shelf. I've bought a couple of Fig Arts for myself. I don't like them. I don't seek them out. I don't like their price. I don't believe the value for what I get. Oftentimes I see them as overpriced, and sometimes I don't like the articulation or the design of them. I know they are the go-to for many Dragon Ball Z collectors, and I can understand that because they do look good. But I have found that while I don't like Dragon Stars either, I don't love them. I don't love them to the point where Dragon Ball Z is the biggest anime of my life, even today. I'm currently rewatching all of Dragon Ball Z again, possibly like my 18th time ever going through the series. Why? Because I found the unedited Ocean dub from start to finish, and I'm very excited to see it go all the way through and see the parts that I never got to see, because over here, we got up to the point where Captain Ginyu's feet touch the ground. Bow! He lands in front of Goku. It's about to be that show off, and all the voices changed. Now, I'm going to get to see that voice cast that I grew up with go the distance, and I'm very excited to see that. With all this passion for Dragon Ball Z, you would think that I'd be a shoo-in for buying Dragon Ball Z figures. Only, when I see the fig arts, most of them I don't want. I can't explain it to you. But I'm the same with the, believe it or not, the Amazing Yamaguchi. I don't like those figures. I've owned 2 of them, and I don't like them. This is all subjective. We are all going to like things and dislike things for different reasons. And I am not here to tell you how to collect. I'm here to explain whether or not this is for me. Guys, I don't like the Amazing Yamaguchi stuff that I've gotten. I've gotten a Wolverine and 2 other figures, and I don't care for any of them. I sold all of them, almost immediately. One was a Venom, and it was one of the worst figures I've ever opened in my entire life. It was absolute trash. Trash! The other was a Wolverine, and he was cool, but I really didn't like the way he moved, and I didn't like the way he looked when he was like with his weird back joints and shoulder thing. I hated it. I just hated it. And I got rid of both of them. It's Amazing Yamaguchi. Mark that one off the list. I'm not interested. I don't like Play Arts Kai. I think they're ridiculously overpriced for what you get, and they're not worth it. And I've had multiple of them. I've had Final Fantasy stuff, Metal Gear Solid stuff, X-Men stuff, for what it's worth, and I haven't cared for any of it. Any of it. I've kept some of it. I have a Cloud still. I have an Ash. I have a Lightning. I've never gone any further in the lines because every time I come across them, I find them to be overpriced for what you get. They're not worth it to me. But, and we've argued this before, I do like Marvel Legends. And it is a line that, for what it's worth, I trust. I trust it because it's large, expansive, and accessible, and for the most part, cheap. So there's an argument here about the money. Can I justify this cost? $50. Well, I have an argument against the $50. Okay? I do. One could argue that the Maximum line already had a test figure on the market. Black Widow. Black Widow, the reason we all rushed out, the reason we wanted it, the reason it was such a big deal is it was the best body we'd ever seen for a female character in the entire line. Multiple heads, weapons, effects. It was amazing. She was like less than 30 bucks. What was she? 23, 28 bucks? But Spider-Man is 50. Just to run the argument. If they were to put out Black Widow in this line, this maximum line, what will make her maximum? A new neck? Do you get my argument on that one? Like, what can they do to upgrade that figure beyond what it is and sell it to us in maximum for 50 bucks? Like, I could also argue that at $50 we don't get a stand. Like, he's Spider-Man, jumping, webbing, like photography purpose. He's in the air. 50% of every fight he's ever had is in the air. How come he doesn't come with that stand? Okay. That's rough. That's rough because it's going to be very hard for me to argue for him at that rate. But there are two other possible tests in this maximum idea. 3 test market figures that I could point to that I would argue are maximum tests. Black Widow we already talked about. And she was entry price. Then I would argue that we have a Danny Ketch Ghost Rider and a Phoenix Jean Grey. You don't think those are almost the exact same thing? One could argue Phoenix could have come with a lot more stuff, but I'm just trying to make the argument here. All of a sudden, we got the Phoenix with the Firebird, with giant fire effects, with 2 different heads, with a fantastic, updated, beautiful body, new sculpted parts, multiple hands. Could have had more fire effects, but she was basically, what, $50? What was she? Was she $50? I'm going to be honest, I can't remember, but I feel like she was around 50 bucks. One could argue she's almost as much plastic, if not more, than this Spider-Man. The Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, he comes with his bike, a fire kickstand, fire wheels, multiple parts on the bikes, flame effects, the chain. He is on a very good body. People have argued that he's too small, but I personally love him. I think he makes sense to me. These feel like 3 figures that were taking baby steps into would we, as collectors, be willing to pay high dollar and get high results from a line that has been going for a very long time at $20. I mean, whoosh, right? Then all of a sudden they're like, hey, Black Widow. Hey, Phoenix. Danny Ketch. All right, guys, let's go for broke. Spider-Man, new line, maximum. We think that we've sold this to you now. We think that you're willing to get on board. Here it is. What do you think? I bought the Spider-Man. And one could argue that's about stupid because it tells them that they can play this drug dealer game. Hey, here's Black Widow. The first one's cheap and or free. But then I would tell you this is not an uncommon practice in toys, whether we like this or not. It's not an uncommon practice in toys. Remember when I just said that I don't like fig arts? I don't like to be suckered by a line like I'm being sold drugs. And I'm sorry, but that is something that happens in fig arts constantly. They sell the first line of Demon Slayer, the first character. Come on, get in here. Get in here. 25 bucks. Come love it. Next one's like nearly $80. Like 60, 70 bucks. Why? Why? There's no justification for it. They did the same thing with One Piece. Here's Luffy. He's great, right? You want to get in here? $25, $24, whatever. Nami's like $60. Why? Why? She's less plastic. What's going on? And Dragon Ball prices just do this. And you can be mad if I'm calling out a toy line that you like. And I could understand it also. But like, let me just, for a moment, okay? For a moment, let me make a slight argument as to why I think this actually happens in that line. Look, Luffy, right there, Fig Arts, he's 39. Oh, sorry, he's 35. He's 35. I'm going to get back the Nami. Why is she 65? Why? This is not just this one figure. I told you, I've been buying from them for a long time. For a long time. And oftentimes, this company drags you in with one figure for the start of what you're going to get into. Here's some Dragon Ball, guys. Here's some One Piece. Here's some Demon Slayer. $30 entry point. Come on in. They're affordable. They're awesome figures. You get in. You're like, this is great. This is where I'm going to make my home. I'm going to buy these figures, right? This is it for me. Bam. I'm in. Let's go. I'm all in. Next figure, $80. $70. It's not a deluxe. It's not special. It's Nami. I just showed it to you. And I'm still going to get people that are going to tell me I'm wrong about this. But I've watched this happen with multiple anime lines from Fig Arts. So on a personal level, I don't like to invest in Fig Arts even one character in, regardless of how much I like it, because their prices just randomly roller coaster for absolutely no reason. I'm sorry, you will not convince me that Luffy and Nami should be that distant in price, and the exact same thing happens in the first two figures of the Demon Slayer line. You get your Demon Slayer from, say, McFarlane. It's not going to be exactly the same idea. I understand the quality, arguably, is not going to be the same. But they will be about $30 across the board. Whole line. Random deluxe figure, $50. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm saying that we've let this happen in other toy lines and we've bought into it like saps. So, if Marvel can promise me at this point forward, as I've seen 3 figures back to back to back now that have been very high value, that seem to be definitive figures for your shelf. Danny Ketch, absolutely fantastic. The Jean Grey Phoenix, I still got her up there. I love that figure. I know other people were mad about her face and everything. Personal opinion, I think she's fantastic. I really, really liked her. Spider-Man. So far, I'm liking what I see. That's 3 figures, back to back to back, basically 50, 50, 50. And I'm going to make a mild argument here. It would not upset me if Marvel Legends pivoted into this treatment. I would rather pay $50 at the normal going rate every time for every figure. If every figure I got came at the same quality yield as Black Widow, as Phoenix, as Danny Ketch, as Spider-Man, give me a Mr. Fantastic that finally has choices. Give me a long punch. Give me a weird, couple things. Make a big hand or something like that. Give me some options to play with. These, like a spring body thing where he can thing. Give me something with Mr. Fantastic. Give me the long legs. Give me the long arms. Give me a reaching thing. Give me a big hand to punch with. Give me this spring feet thing to do. Give me a weird body thing or something like that where he can, big flat. Give me choices. Give me Sue. Give me the perfect Sue. And just give me all kinds of options. Give me a little disc that she can ride on that's like a literal flight stand. And then give me a shield that she can hold with both of her hands or whatever that's a big shield. And then a little shield or something like that. Or then maybe a little thing where she can shoot these orb things. Do. Something like that. Give me stuff like that. Give me a thing that comes with all kinds of options. Finally, a body where he actually has the double right here, and he's got full movement, he's got good knees, and he's got good arms, and he can actually give me butterfly joints on a buff figure for the first time in the entire line, where he can actually even cross his big, giant freaking this has been right here, right? You don't want to mess with that. He's coming in. And give me options like exploding options or something like that. Like effects, so he can hit or something like that. And give me an effect for his fist where it's like, bow, you know what I mean? Like a wind current or something like that where he's laying it down. Give me a Johnny with all kinds of fire effects, including an action stand that is fire like the Phoenix. I'm just talking about the Fantastic Four. I'm not even talking about what you could get away with an Iron Man. Or what's this Hulk gonna be? Guys, if this line pivoted to be $50 figures across the board that all came with... Don't sell me a Ghost Rider without a bike. Period. And we just had this argument with Captain America. Don't give me a Captain America that doesn't have a shield, a throwing effect, the hand, a broken shield. Go all in. Give me everything in one figure. $50 drop. Give it all to me. Let's go. I'm in. I know some people will not like this. And I'm not saying you are wrong. But I am saying that for me personally, I'm buying this Spider-Man. Will he turn out to be not much better than the favorite one I have on my shelf? It's very possible. I won't lie about that. It's very possible. But it's also very possible that this Spider-Man is the quintessential of my shelf, aside from that terrible Peter Parker head. But hopefully, like I said, I can just put this one on him because this one's better. The Renew Your Vows head is better. And I'm not saying there won't always be the possibility of the next one is better. What about a Wolverine that's like a tiger stripe Wolverine with the best body we've seen, with all the bells and whistles, with the unmasked head, with the little thing that goes back, the hood thing that actually goes back, with all kinds of claw effects. Like, yeah, he's got the claws, but he also has slashing effects and things like that. Where's that? Battle damage swap parts. Like little things or whatever, so that you could take these parts off and put those on, and they could be torn up or something like that. Swappable parts like swappable arms, where you can take the glove off and put the glove on, and then the gloves, so you can put the gloves on. One set of gloves has the bone claws, one set of gloves has the adamantium claws. I personally feel like this could be a good thing. But I won't deny that some people will not be happy with this and that their arguments are also valid. I've explained why I'm on board for this. That's what I intended to do. I think this is good, and I think 50, I'm going to say this, 50 is the absolute edge of what I'm willing to do before I go somewhere else. I think they nailed what they can get away with. Had this come out at 60 or 70, there's no way. Like, there's absolutely no way. But currently, where it is, at 50, I think they've hit the absolute limit of what's acceptable for a Marvel Legends. I'm on board. I think I've explained my stand. I'm interested to hear why you are on board, why you're buying it, or why you chose to say, no way, I will not be a part of this. And I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not looking to necessarily change your mind. I'm looking to tell you why I think this is fine. And if you think it's not, that's also valid. But I also will not argue with you up to a point. So just keep that in mind when you decide to write a comment. If your comment is a big hate spiel, I won't be responding to it. Just so you know, I have zero interest in fighting with fans. I also necessarily don't have any interest in continually glazing fans where they're like, oh my God, let me gush with you about it. Sure. But if you want to make valid points or just say some stuff, I try for the most part to answer as many comments as I can. But I'm just going to put that out there before this one even goes, because I know how people are arguing about this one, and I don't have the energy for it. But I did want to say my piece on it. So, Maximum Spider-Man, I'm on board. I honestly think it's worth it. I think it's not perfect. I think it's missing some things. Like, there's no reason we shouldn't have got one of those action stands. But I think this is the right direction. And I think that this is the first step, or the fourth step, to really bringing Marvel into the next couple years of figure collecting. Because let's be honest, they have felt behind for a while. And a lot of people have decided to leave and go elsewhere. And they're not necessarily wrong for having done that. Let me know. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.